Alright, for this last video of the evening, I want to actually start with the rule that I have in mind because it's a relatively complicated rule, or basically a complicated situation in which the rule needs to be applied, and then go from there into two different cases that happened in the same point last week where it was either incorrectly applied or correctly applied, but in either case was it actually called, because these are the sorts of things that people kind of shy away from calling in more or less recreational Ultimate. So the rule in case has to do with double teams. So we're going to go to section 14 of the rules here. Part B, marking violations, number 2, covers double teams, kind of appropriately enough. This says, if a defensive player other than the marker is within 3 meters of any pivot of the thrower without also being within 3 meters of and guarding another offensive player, it is a double team. This has one of those expansions if you click on the online rules in the last sentence here. So however, merely running across this area is not a double team. Merely running means running for the exclusive purpose of reaching the other side. Running with an ulterior motive of interfering with the thrower in any way is not merely running and is a double team. I'm not super concerned about this part as I am with this second part of the without also being within 3 meters of and guarding another offensive player. So one of the reasons I'm glad to have the opportunity to show video of how this may or may not be appropriate in play is because I remember distinctly getting into a bit of an argument that led to some sort of bad blood between a team I was playing on in Fall League last year and another team which thought I was double teaming, even though I was trying to apply this rule without double teaming. So it was one of those cases where simply because of the misunderstanding or different understandings of the rules, it led to sort of bad spirit all around. And I think if more people knew this rule, it would be better fun for everybody involved. So again, if you are a defensive player, you can't go within 3 meters of the thrower if somebody's already guarding that thrower. You can only do that if you are also within 3 meters of and guarding another offensive player. So we'll see a couple of cases here in the game my team played last week. So this is Team Terror in dark, Team Challenger in white. The first case, I think it is incorrectly applied, like an attempt is made to sort of take advantage of this rule to sort of create a non-double team, But I'll just show it to you and hopefully explain it a little more clearly after that. So Brian Money has got the disc here over on the sidelines. We'll see what happens. Okay, hopefully you caught that. Again, this is subtle. So this throw goes over to Paula here, and she catches it, and she's being guarded by Elise. And over here, though, Bobby's working as Paula's dump. Avery is guarding Bobby in principle. However, he's also kind of trying to keep an eye here on what Paula's doing. So for Avery to be able to do this legally, first of all, I think it's pretty clear he's within 3 meters of Paula. It's not entirely clear that he's within 3 meters of Bobby. In fact, I think he probably isn't. In addition to that, he can't be acting like he's trying to guard Paula in any way. He only is able to guard Bobby if he's within this sort of 3 meter radius around Paula. Otherwise, it's a double team. And I think some of his actions here, in fact, he looks at her and kind of holds up his hand here, in this particular case, to prevent her from throwing over to the right-hand side. In this case, he's maybe less than a meter away from her, in addition to Elise. This is a pretty clear double team. It's unfortunate that Paula didn't call it, because she does try to throw in that direction eventually when Avery moves away, and it winds up being an incomplete pass. I'm not bitter about losing to Challenger at all. I'll just say as an addendum to this, but I think in this case, Paula probably had a legitimate beef if she would have called it. I'm going to move on to another scenario in which this applies later on in the same point. This is a case where Challenger has the disc and Brian's going to be covering. Okay, I think in this case, Brian does it the right way. So Landon is going to throw over to Sarah here near the corner of the end zone. Brian was poaching a little bit here, but basically he's covering Tierney. And we'll just watch it again. I'll slow it down. So Sarah's got it now. Brian is effectively covering Tierney. We'll go in slow motion. And he's going to get easily within 3 meters of Sarah. Once again, he's about a step away from her here. He's not really looking at her as such here. He is trying to keep an eye sort of both on the disc and on his mark, Tierney. And he is more or less, I caught him sort of at the one case where he goes 3 meters or more away, but he's about 3 meters away here, I would say. And again, he's not trying to block Sarah from throwing in general, say towards Avery's direction. He's trying to prevent her more or less from throwing to Tierney. So he is within 3 meters of Sarah, but he's guarding Tierney. And since Tierney is close enough for him to be within 3 meters of Tierney as well as within 3 meters of Sarah, this is, I think, a legal play. I can play this out here and just show you that, well, it winds up being a score for Sarah. So again, I'm totally not bitter about that at all, but I do think it helps to keep this in mind. To people who don't know it, a double team, or what seems to be a double team, can be okay if the person is guarding somebody else and just happens to be within 3 meters of you while they are guarding that other person who is less than 3 meters away from them. The cases where it's not okay is if you are not within 3 meters of your check, as Avery is here, and also if you are explicitly trying to guard the thrower instead of the person that you are nominally guarding who is more than 3 meters away from you. Like I said, that's a little complicated, but hopefully these examples made it more clear. And whatever the case may be, try not to get upset about this in future games of Ultimate, because it may just be a misunderstanding of the rules that is causing whatever dispute is going on. Okay, that's it for this evening. I think 5 is enough, but I'll be back again with more next week.